Well, let's talk about Haiti now, because U.S. and Western powers are gearing up for an invasion of Haiti, as we've been covering here on the show for a number of days now. Major developments last night at the United Nations that we want to cover. Is the United States actively targeting the opposition leader and trying to hide behind propaganda? That's what it sounds like. For that, let's bring in Dan Cohen from Uncaptured Media to look more closely at the very latest developments. Dan, welcome back to the show.
Good to be with you, Clayton.
So I want to play some sound from yesterday. This at the United Nations, this from U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas Greenfield. And I want our audience to pay very close attention to it. And then I want to get you to respond, Dan. Take a look.
So the draft resolution specifically lists Jimmy Cherizier, also known as Barbecue, as the subject of such sanctions. He is directly responsible for the devastating fuel shortage that is crippling the country. By passing this resolution, we would take concrete actions to hold him and so many other violent criminals to account.
So, Dan, I don't know if we have to read between the lines, but it sounds like she's specifically talking about targeting Barbecue, going right after him. I mean, this is a targeted attempt at this person's life. Am I wrong?
Well, it's very revealing, Clayton, that the United States, not only Linda Thomas Greenfield, but also Brian Nichols, a top State Department official, have repeatedly called for military intervention to take out Barbecue, Jimmy Cherizier, the leader of the G9 family and allies. And they have never mentioned, they don't mention any of the other so-called gangs that are operating in Port-au-Prince or around Haiti. I could point to Izo of the 5 Seconds gang, the 5 Second gang, who in March 2021 killed several members of the Haitian National Police, wiped out two units from a SWAT team. I could point to the 400 Mauzo, a criminal gang that kidnapped 17 North American missionaries last year and held them ransom and threatened to kill them. There's no talk about any of these actual criminal gangs. There's only talk about the group that fights against them, the anti-crime Federation of the G9, led by Jimmy Cherizier. So they are very intent on assassinating him because he has been holding up the fuel terminal as part of this massive protest movement that has swept Port-au-Prince.
Have you talked to the people surrounding him? I mean, is he aware that you've got the United Nations meeting and actively talking about sending in military to take him out, to hold quote unquote dangerous criminals to account? I mean, are they aware what's coming?
Yeah, Jimmy Cherizier is very aware of what's coming. The newspaper Haiti Liberté, run by whose English language editor is my colleague Kim Ives, they interviewed Jimmy Cherizier a couple of days ago and published some words by him where he said, "Yeah, we know what's coming, and if the U.S. decides to trample the soil of Haiti, then we'll have to develop tactics and strategy to be able to respond to that." They know they can't go toe to toe with the United States military or a UN so-called peacekeeper mission, but they have popular support, and so as resistance groups are always essentially outmatched by the occupier, they're able to kind of use their local resources to wage a very effective resistance.
We've been talking a lot about the propaganda surrounding not only the war in Ukraine, but certainly this war, what's going to be unfolding here in Haiti. What sort of propaganda are you seeing? I mean, I saw just over the weekend opinion pieces in the Washington Post calling for the U.S. intervention in Haiti. So it seems like the propaganda machine is already working.
Ever since the assassination of President Jovenel Moïse on July 7th, 2021, the Washington Post has been the mouthpiece for the establishment in Washington itself that is desperate for military intervention in Haiti. They've published no less than 6 editorial board op-eds calling for military intervention in Haiti, and the most recent one calls the crimes of UN peacekeepers back in the previous occupation, beginning in 2004, they basically dismiss it as an afterthought.
So the UN yesterday, I want to put up a document here from the UN Secretary General. What was discussed yesterday at the United Nations specifically? I mean, we heard from Linda Thomas Greenfield, but beyond that, what is the United Nations doing? What are they voting on?
Well, it was a really remarkable exchange. If you look at the document that Antonio Guterres, the Secretary General of the United Nations, put forward, it very much echoes what the United States is trying to do. So it raises questions about, who's actually running the show here. But it lists two options for military action in Haiti to take out Jimmy Cherizier. First option is that the UN Security Council approves that a UN member state would train a Haitian National Police hit squad to take out Cherizier. The second option is that they actually do it themselves, working side by side. That a UN member state goes in and carries out the attack on Cherizier himself. What's really remarkable is you see the term bilateral thrown in there repeatedly. It's used like 6 or 7 times in this document, and it's a euphemism essentially for unilateral, because as the Chinese diplomats pointed out yesterday at the UN Security Council, the Haitian government of Ariel Henry, the interim prime minister, has no constitutional backing. His ongoing premiership, he's been in power since just after the assassination of President Moise in July 2021, there's no legal basis for it. So he is legally unable to request military intervention from foreign powers. So you essentially have the U.S. telling its puppet and Ariel Henry to ask for military intervention and then calling it bilateral. It's a total canard. Fortunately, the Chinese and the Russians see right through it.
How do they respond? I wanted to get to that part of it. So the Chinese and the Russians, when this comes up for a vote and a decision is made, hey, we have this document here that we've prepared. Here's two options. Either we, the United Nations, invade, or we do it through a proxy. How did the Chinese and Russians respond to that?
Well, the Chinese basically shot down the idea of a military presence, a military operation, because, as they correctly pointed out, the Haitian political parties and the masses who are protesting in the streets are totally against any kind of military intervention. And the Russians said a similar thing and noted the horrible track record of UN peacekeepers, so-called peacekeepers, in Haiti. So, I mean, the U.S. is really kind of running into a wall at the UN so far, though, of course, it's going to look for other ways to do it. But I think what's so remarkable about the U.S. position here is that they want to essentially get the UN Security Council to rubber stamp outsourcing a military operation to take out Cherizier to a member state. So to have Canada or Brazil or some other country do it, and then the UN Security Council has no oversight. Russia and China would be totally sidelined. And, I spoke to the former UN official and international law expert, Alfred de Zayas, and he told me that this is completely in contravention of international law. It's a total farce. So, hopefully this will not go through and we won't see troops deployed to Haiti.
Well, Dan, you've been doing great work on this, and we really appreciate you joining us once again to bring us the very latest on this UN move into Haiti. And, of course, we'll be following the story very closely. Dan, thanks so much.
Thanks a lot, Clayton.
I love that Andrea in the chat just said, yeah, peacekeepers my ass. Like they were under the auspices of peacekeepers. Like we're going to send in those UN peacekeepers.
Yes.
They're always just keeping the peace, aren't they?
Yeah.
That's what they do. They do so well, those UN peacekeepers.
I love my peacekeepers that hold guns.
It brings warm fuzzies.
Nothing says peace like a nice rifle.
Yeah. Oh, our good
shoving the
old
boot
UN
of peace up people's ass.
What did you guys think about that document, though? I mean, this is what the UN literally says in their document. Here's two choices. Either we go in or we hire a proxy to go in and assassinate this guy. Like, that's what the United Nations is doing right now.
Yeah.
Thank you, United Nations. We don't have enough problems in the world. Now you need to go and take out... okay. So we'll be covering this story more closely. It's just unbelievably troubling. So thank you for all of your interest in real geopolitics and these big stories that matter to the rest of the world.